Hi there, it's Tessa with Hip Over 50. So today I'm coming to you from the sunny Dorset coast in England. I'm going to tell you where to find the best places to visit in England that are by the coast. We have some fabulous coastline here. Actually, the whole UK does, Cornwall all the way up to Northumberland. So come with me as we explore the best places to visit in England that are by the coast. So let's start on the north coast of Cornwall. Here it is in all its rugged beauty. It may look familiar to you if you are an American and you're used to sort of California coast or perhaps the Pacific Northwest, but this is what the North Atlantic coast looks like in Cornwall. And it's a magnet, obviously, for sea life, seabirds, as well as surfers. But it's not all rugged coastline. There's a lot of little nooks and crannies that I want to introduce you to. Let's start with St Ives, which is accessible by the coastal path. St Ives is a wonderful little town. It's kind of got it all going on. It's got the Tate St Ives gallery. It's got other galleries. It's kind of like an art scene because of the wonderful light there. It's got a great sandy beach and an interesting little town, which is fun to explore. Just don't go in the height of the summer because you will have a lot of company. It's very popular. Just on the other side of the bay is the beach at Godrevy. It is managed by the National Trust, and as you can tell, it's a wide sandy beach, perfect for walks and surfers. Just north of that is Perranporth, a lovely little beach town which has this gorgeous sandy beach and a pub right on the beach called the Watering Hole. Even on this sunny day, there's still lots of room for you to bring your bucket and spade. Surfer? Well, head to Fistral Beach, which is just outside of Newquay. I've not been there, but I hear it's a favorite destination if you have a surfboard. A little bit further up is the Bedruthan Steps. Now, that's a funny name. The Bedruthan was the name of the giant who supposedly used these rocks as steps across the bay, but it is also managed by the National Trust and has this otherworldly sort of feel to it, but it's a great place to go for walks, explore. There's a cafe and a large car park, so go for it. And a little further north on the coast is Harlyn Bay, which I went to, and I thought it's just a lovely, lovely beach. Plenty of room, lots of place to roam, and the Pig at Harlyn Bay is there if you want a posh country house hotel to stay in nearby. Just north of Harlyn Bay, across the bay, is Padstow, a real foodie capital. It's known for being kind of a chic, kind of a cliquey place, but I found it charming. And there's lots of little, like I said, nooks and crannies to explore, lots of other bars and restaurants beside Rick Stein's. And most of all, I loved being able to walk out to the coastline via the River Camel estuary and the paths that lead out to the Atlantic. That's rock across the bay, and you can get over there, just don't get stuck on the sandbar. So then we have Port Isaac, which is a traditional fishing village, which you might recognize if you have watched Doc Martin or Fisherman's Friends. It's still a working village, and yet it's got a lot of interesting, quirky little streets, cafes, bars, restaurants, shops that you can explore. Again, it's on the North Cornwall coast. Port Isaac is an ideal little spot to spend a weekend. So there you go. Those are some of the highlights of Cornwall's north coast. Now the south coast, well, that's pretty nice too. So let's start with Porthcurno. I couldn't believe the color of the water when I saw this beach. Isn't it spectacular? And, it's so dramatic, but yet it's still a great place to just go put your towel down. And then the Minnock Theatre is right next door. So here you can go see plays with the Atlantic Ocean as your backdrop. Just a little further around the coast is the charming fishing village of Mousel, which has tons of character. Again, lots of little shops and cafes for you to explore. It's really a super pretty town, and it's so close to Penzance, you have to go there. Now, Penzance, I think, is a great destination. If you're coming from London, you can take the train from London Paddington Station. It takes about 6 hours, brings you right into Penzance, and then you can either pick up a rental car or make your way about with public transportation and taxis. But it's a great base for both North Cornwall and South Cornwall, and to explore places like St. Michael's Mount in Marazion, just next door. This beautiful castle and garden is also managed by the National Trust and is only accessible at low tide, twice a day. But the views are spectacular. It's well worth the trip. I think it rivals France's Mont Saint-Michel, don't you? Just don't get stuck at high tide. Further along the coast is Praz Sands. Now, I've not been here, but it gets rated very highly for its golden sandy beaches. Let me know if you've been there. And further up the coast is the charming, charming town of Charleston. This has an 18th century Georgian harbor that is one of the only ones in the UK to still be active. It's got all kinds of little shops, galleries, markets to explore, and I just fell in love with it. I thought it was really charming. And if you're into tall ships, you must make a beeline for Charleston. Further up the coast is the town of Foy, and that's Polruan, the village that you can see across the bay from Foy. Foy is a very chic little town. Again, galleries, shops, restaurants, cafes. I was there at winter time. It was really lovely, quiet and peaceful. It's got it all going on. There's enough sophistication there. It's a little bit isolated, but it is well worth the trip. I think you will really enjoy Foy. It's such a pretty town. So those are the highlights of South Cornwall. Going along the coast, we hit Dorset, which is a lovely county with lots of great coastline. And the first place we're going to visit here today is Durdle Door. This is the back side of it. Isn't that watercolor spectacular? And look at that beach. You can walk over from the car park, but Durdle Door is a rock formation formed by over almost 200 million years. This is considered the Jurassic coast here on the Dorset coast. And this fantastic arch is a kind of iconic landmark. It's only about a 20-minute walk from the car park. It's well worth the trip, and you can hit the beach too. Just up from there is Lulworth Cove, another kind of unique geological formation. And Corfe Castle just sits inland. This is also managed by the National Trust. There's a pretty little village with a pub and a cafe. It's well worth visiting these ruins. This all sits on the Isle of Purbeck, which is basically a peninsula that sticks out. You can see the geological it almost looks like it just broke off from France yesterday, doesn't it? But at the end of this is Old Harry's Rocks, which is kind of a funny name for these three rocks that are just left there at the end of the peninsula. Go stay in Bournemouth, which is nearby, if you want a larger town to explore that still has a sandy beach, and it's got its own microclimate. I hear it's very nice down there. It's probably a little buzzier, busier, but that's a good option. So there you go. Those are the highlights of the Dorset coast. Next, we go along the coast to East Sussex, one of my favorites. And if you park at South Hill Barn Car Park, you can walk up and see this spectacular view in front of you, the iconic view of the Seven Sisters Cliffs from Cookmere Haven. Isn't that pretty? I never get tired of that walk. I never get tired of that view. It is well worth the trip. Walk down to the beach, but you won't be able to cross over the river to get up on the other side to walk over the cliffs. For that, you will have to walk all the way down to the river at the Cookmere Inn, where you can get a very nice pub lunch. But if you do that and come around and come up over the Seven Sisters, this is what you'll see from a drone. You won't see quite the same spectacular panorama if you're walking, but yes, you can walk all along these cliffs, and you will see the Beltute Lighthouse on your right, and then you'll see the city of Eastbourne ahead of you, and you can walk all the way down there. Eastbourne is another great place you might look at to kind of perch for a few days. It's got a kind of a nice wide seafront, lots of places to walk there, and the historic town pier, which is, very pretty, always nice. So those are some of the highlights of East Sussex. Now we're going to go all the way up around the coast of Suffolk, which is northeast of London. This is a view of the Norfolk Broads, Norfolk is the neighboring county, and Suffolk offers a lot of water type activities as well. Aldborough is a pretty little town right on the seafront, faces the North Sea. Look at all this quirky architecture. It's really a lovely weekend place. Again, a little on the posh side, but then you have these fishing boats that pull right up on the beach and great fish markets where you can buy fabulous fresh fish. I can't even say that. Fabulous fresh fish. So yes, I'd highly recommend going to Aldborough. It's got cinemas, galleries, shops, you name it. Further up the coast is a place that's a little bit more sort of bucket and spade, more traditional English, which is Southwold. It's got the pretty, lighthouse, the pretty colored beach huts, and lots of places to walk. So you can walk all along the seafront. I thought Southwold was a very nice place to be on this sunny afternoon. So those are a couple of the highlights of the Suffolk coast. And then further up, we go all the way up to Northumberland, which is almost close to Scotland. It's called the Borders because it is the bordering county to Scotland. I was just blown away by the beach at Bamborough. I couldn't get over it. It just reminded me of Cape Cod. And Bamborough Castle, to see a castle from the beach as well, what a treat. And the beaches are wide and lots of big dunes. It's just a lovely wild place to go for a walk and just and very quiet, not as busy as some of the southern beaches. Just a super nice place to go and chill out. And then a little bit further north is Lindisfarne, which is the Holy Island. It too can only be reached at low tide twice a day. It was founded in 1635 by an Irish monk. And yeah, that's the highlights of Northumberland and the coastline of England. So I'm back in my home office making this video for you, but I hope you got inspired. There are so many lovely places along the coastline here. It really is quintessentially English, the English seaside. There isn't anything like it, and don't miss out. There is a lot more to see than just London and the Cotswolds. Trust me, you won't be disappointed. So put some of these places on your must-see list, and of course, if you got any questions, put them in the comments below. And if you have any places you want to share, put those in the comments below. I always love to see those. And in the meantime, hope you're taking care of yourself, having a good summer, and I will see you very soon on the next video. Bye for now.